Okay, it's day 183 here in Capitol Heights, and just had a really good talk with a bail bondsman. And he said, hey, United Marshal Service, we were talking about Hell's Angels. There's our friends at FedEx. And Memphis, here I come. And we were talking about the different, rituals that Hell's Angels had to go through. And he said, you got to kill somebody to get in. And I said, yeah, but I thought they tried to minimize it a little bit with, group initiations and stuff like that. But I think as we go back and we look at Evansdale, we look at Delphi, we look at the killings of the women on Long Island, it's going to solve a lot of these problems because they're going to go back to Hell's Angels initiations. And I told him what I did, and he said, well, I got 3 spots. I said I like to go down to Anacostia and interview the guys and in the rat lines. And he said, oh, you got to go. I said, where do you go? I said, Malcolm X. And not Martin Luther King. He goes, oh, well, you got to get down to Malcolm X. I'm like, oh, man, I haven't made it since I haven't been down to Malcolm X. So anyway, I'm a little bit under the weather today. I love the impromptu interviews, what I call rat line interviews. He says he has his team always at a different hotel. And now I've blown his cover here, and now his whole team knows he's here. But anyway, I say I'm never trying to blow up any. We talked to Ray for Edmonds and Rick Ross and all the old timers setting up rat lines down here, kind of collapsing neighborhoods and stuff. So we had a good chat. So normally I would have had this out a half an hour earlier. But speaking of people who set up rat lines and so forth, this new name has come up with this Minhas, M-I-N-H-A-S, Minhas, and I call him Rahm's man in Chicago. Minhas is this guy who commented, who's currently in jail for fraud. That's what they usually get these guys on, is fraud or, mail fraud or something like that. When they're sending illegal money through the U.S. mail, it's an easy one because there's a date and a place and a stamp and cameras and all that. But he's the one who said that Imran's dad passed these thumb drives. And we, of course, task force ran Minhas. We find out he's related to all these people in our story, Atif, remember Atif? Johns Hopkins University went with Imran and Rao Abbas to to Johns Hopkins, the 3 A's right all together. Remember that whole story? Remember how he went on to DHS, lives out in Springfield right next to Jaquaya on, Juicy Fruit Lane or some kind of corny lane. I can't remember the name of it now. But Atif, good friend of Atif. Then the next name down, Jeffrey Abbas. I'm like, whoa, we've had the whole thing with Rayo. Then the next one down is Malik, supposedly the person he gave Imran's dad, so Ashraf Awan, gave these thumb drives to. Sorry about FedEx starting up their business. They got to stay in business too for that, taking over the U.S. Postal Service, airmail after 9/11. But Malik is, of course, we have Tafshin Malik, who was the drug cook down in San Bernardino for the Hells Angels. So that's another one of his associates. And of course, we have another one that's Farouk. Now, we don't know if that's Farouk Awan. I realize a lot of Muslim names are different. But it made me immediately think of the octopus, the infiltration of the D.C. Government's IT team. So these names, as Luke puts them out, are just immediate hits, remind us parts of our story, and there's a lot of linkages. The linkage to Atif was just amazing. It was Muhammad, I think it was Muhammad H. Atif, just an immediate linkage. So as these things come along, as these drips come out, trying to kind of throw breadcrumbs, kind of throw Luke off the trail this way, or I think Luke's the only one even on the trail, so he's the only one they even try to throw off the trail. But it's going to keep pointing back to the conspirators. It keeps pointing back to these interconnections to the conspirators. I talked to the U.S. attorney today. He wanted more time. I said, well, yeah, 4 of the people I name in the suit are now have a criminal referral from the Congress, Strokes and Page, and of course Andy and Comey. And I said, all I really want is my file. All I really want is my FBI file. And I said, now we have the FBI informant that's come forward. So that's added a whole new wrinkle. So obviously there's a file. So anyway, hopefully we'll get the FBI file. We'll see the whole extent of all the machinations since the Muhammad. And it's amazing how much the Charleston incident was an attempted replay by Andy, I believe, when it's all said and done, of the Muhammad thing that got me in trouble for standing up for a Muslim kid 7 years ago.